Um, is anyone taking minutes?
I guess I could take minutes.
Okay.
We're gonna get a transcript of it.
Oh, is that, so we don't,
I'm gonna email Sally tomorrow, and she and Cliff are gonna produce a transcript. We
So we
might
don't
take
need to-
minutes, but we might also try it with the transcript.
Well, I don't want to take minutes if they'll be a transcript.
So the meeting is now live on YouTube and
Do I need to do it? I mean,
No, let's try with the transcript. Let's just try with the
Okay.
transcript.
okay, good. Good enough. Oh, yeah, we don't need that. Do we have, yeah, we do have the minutes. Okay. Are you going to do a shared screen, Bev, with the agenda?
I sent it to you. I don't know. I didn't.
Do you want me to share a screen?
If you can, I don't know how to share a
I
screen.
could share a screen. Okay.
Oh, I can do it. Wait, I just found it, I think.
Okay.
But now I don't know where to go next. You better do it.
Okay.
Sorry. I did mail it out. Did everyone get it?
Yes.
Okay. Don't look at all my private emails, everybody.
Okay, no. First item, of course, is the approval of last month's minutes. Wendy confirmed that I had read them and they were fine with me.
Oh, hold on. I see these are all the attachments. Is this, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are these just attachments or is this the whole
The
agenda?
agenda is one of the attachments. It's right there.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Thank you. You know your
Very welcome.
You know technology.
I am getting there. This has taught me a lot since March.
So has everyone had a chance to read the minutes?
Yes.
And are there any
Would you-
changes?
Yes.
Okay. So can someone move to approve the minutes?
I've motioned to approve the minutes.
Second?
Gail, we should say our names for the transcript. Gail Kohler motions to approve the minutes.
Okay, second?
I second it, Sean Gormley.
Sean?
I
And-
wasn't at the meeting.
Oh, that's okay. You can approve them anyway.
Okay.
That's what I was told. Okay,
Okay, then
so
I approve the
everyone in
minutes. Wendy Zoland approves the minutes.
Okay, everyone, I approve the minutes. Anyone not approve the minutes? It's probably easier. Okay, the minutes are approved. Comments from residents. I have not received any. Most people didn't have power, so we didn't get any comments. Everybody's a little upset about it. Correspondence. I brought this one forward from the last meeting. Jerry, because you weren't there, we got Kelly Sousa, this was last winter, had wanted trees by the high school and that didn't work. And she suggested daffodils that she saw in Scarsdale. Do you have any thoughts about whether the village would plant daffodils along the Boston Post Road? Jerry? That didn't go over so well.
Jerry had to
Where is he?
hop back on apparently.
We lost Jerry.
Yeah, his mic wasn't working, so he's gonna log him back in.
Okay.
Let's do oh, he's coming.
Can we just go back to comments from neighbors?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still muted for some reason.
So I actually was bumped into a neighbor who lives off of Rushmore next door to where all of those trees were cut down.
Oh, yeah.
And she told me that what happened was that house was sold. And the new people who moved in didn't like the fact that the trees were leaning towards the property and asked for them to be removed. So this woman next door was very upset.
The question about that I've had about these trees all along, I'm not sure whether it's still here on the agenda later, was that Tony sent photographs of them, which looked as if they were really actually in late stages of dying. I assume they were not doctored photographs, that they were real. I think our bigger question is, why was it done without, even Jerry, you didn't know about it. That was a lot of trees to come down. And they should have been looked at by someone besides Tony, who gave the instructions to take them down. Jerry, have you had any thoughts about how that should work? Because I do think that sometimes trees come down. It used to be that people would complain to Tony and he would take them down. I don't know the extent to which that happens now, but it appears to have happened in this situation, and it was a lot of trees.
Right.
This was a conversation we've been wanting to have for a while about protocol for tree removal.
Your call has been forwarded to.
So,
Um,
Jerry, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I
Okay.
keep moving in and out.
We can't see you, but okay, there
I don't
you
have to see you. Did you hear the question?
I didn't hear the question. If you could repeat it, that'd be good.
Okay, this is regarding those 10 or so trees removed from Harbor Island
Last year?
off Rushmore. It was last year.
Last year.
And the question, Tony produced photographs that I thought, made it, certainly had an argument for taking them out. They looked as if they.
Yeah, they were in pretty rough shape, and a few leaners, but they didn't look like they were planted intentionally. It's kind of looked like they were just they grew naturally.
Yeah.
So it was, if we're going to go in.
Hey everyone.
Hey, Joe.
Oh, hi,
Sorry,
Joe.
I'm late.
Oh, Joe's there. Great.
So Tony was going to remove those trees because, and then we did talk about replanting that area. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. It is. I don't know exactly where the boundary is, but if it's park property,
Okay.
trees.
We're talking about the Rushmore
I'm not
tree.
really sure.
This is not a good place to sit. I'm going to lose.
I think, Jerry, the issue was when there are a lot of trees that are going to be removed, we need, or for removals in general, but certainly when there are a lot, we need a protocol.
Okay.
Because it took so much work, so many emails and questions back and forth, why? Whereas if it had just happened it wasn't an emergency situation.
Yeah.
And if there was better communication about, we have this issue, this is the proposal, let's, give a couple days at least for some feedback. If it's an emergency, that's a whole nother ballgame.
Yeah. Okay. So
Not huge trees that could have fallen and damaged the house. It was really, I think, more of an issue of blocking a view.
So it seems that way, but what happens the way Tony schedules, so when he goes out and he measures DBH and then he has a group of trees throughout the village
Yeah.
that he calls in the company or contractor to remove, then he will stack the work up for the entire day so that there's enough work for the crew for the entire day. This could have been associated with that, where he had 2 or 3 trees on the streets that he had to remove, and then he had these also, basically assembling 1 day worth of work. We can think about it differently, the way you just presented it, Gail, where if it's more than 2 trees in one spot, and I'm not saying 2 trees on one street, but 2 trees in one spot, or however, whatever criteria protocol you want to come up with, we can do that. If we're going to take out, let's just use Harbor Island. If we're going to take out 6 cherry trees, do you want to be notified about it? Of course, we'll take the pictures and notify them. I took pictures of 3
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
3 dead trees. Yeah, I can hear you.
Jerry, it's Sean here. I don't take that. I don't buy that thing about his full day. Tony Accavelli was to have come to the meeting when COVID-19 started. He didn't come. We've been asking for him since then. He didn't join the last meeting. He needs to answer to the tree committee why he did what he did, because what it is,
All right.
a disgusting disaster.
He'll tell you. He'll tell you what it is. So we'll ask him to come. Tony worked 3 overnights this
It's a very
week.
egregious thing that he did, and he's not accounted for it. And I can't. We're not going to accept that excuse, Dan. Please, it's just not right. It's an insult to us.
It's not an excuse from me. It's an assumption, because I didn't talk to Tony about we never talked to Tony about the notification. All we talked to Tony about was getting photographs of the trees to share with the tree committee to demonstrate that these trees were in rough shape. That's all I spoke to Tony about. I never talked to Tony about
No
his
better at this stage in the game.
justification or who he spoke to.
No better at this stage in the game. We are a tree committee. He should have known better, and it's just not acceptable.
I understand you feel that way, but if you want us to create a procedure where we're cutting down X amount of trees for whatever reason, we can do that. I mean, I have no problem with that, of course. But it's not something that I've been involved with or implemented since I got here. It would be something new for us, actually. And if you want him to come and talk to you about the removal of those trees, that's fine. But Sean, if you looked at those pictures, those trees were junk. I don't know where the outcry is, and I don't know what the rumors, I can't, how am I supposed to prove the rumors that this person thought this one didn't want the view or wanted the view in the household? It's hard for me to determine that. If they were beautiful specimen trees and there were 6 beautiful
We don't cut
specimen
trees down. Jerry, in Florence Park, there's a lot of trees that are on certain angles. We don't cut them down because they're on certain angles and they're no danger to anybody else. There's no reason to cut a tree down because it's not beautiful, or you think it's not beautiful.
Okay. All right. If that's, you and I have we'd look at it just a little differently. That's all. I
I
understand.
think, though, I'm in agreement with the other colleagues on the street committee about this. We're a little outraged.
We'll
I'm
bring
okay.
Tony to a subsequent meeting and we'll talk to him about it. That's all.
I'd very much like to work together with Tony, the committee, with you, Jerry and Nora, to come up with a protocol to try to facilitate better communication, hopefully prior to any trees, honestly, coming down when possible, except of course when there's a danger, when safety to person or property is concerned, that's another issue. But if it doesn't concern safety to person and property, I think we need to be on board with this. I would like together to create a process that will help everybody from every angle.
So in my previous municipality, if I took down a tree, because there was a tree committee, it was an environmental commission that was required to review and approve all the tree removals. If the municipality wanted to take down a tree, I'd fill out a permit, I'd submit it to the committee, and then the chairperson would put it on the agenda, and it would be a discussion item. And we'd talk about it right there in the committee meeting. And I can easily do that. I can implement that. That could work.
As long as it's not an emergency.
Yeah, as long
In
as,
emergency, I'm just gonna, if it's an emergency, I gotta make the call and I gotta take it down.
Absolutely.
In fact, the last emergency, well, we've had quite a few since the storm, but I remember talking to Sean. We had Frank go to Park Avenue, and he said the tree, he was so worried about the tree, he said it must come down right away as soon as possible because it was in such bad shape and
okay. let me
such
fix
danger
that.
of coming down. We had to take it down. It was a shame. I know it's a big, beautiful tree, and I know the person who lives right next door who's on the phone, or right there who's on the phone, didn't want to see it go. But that was, I think, the last true non-storm related emergency that we had to deal with.
Right. Okay,
But
so
don't forget to walk
emergencies are a different issue. They're a different issue.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, so do we want to agree that if a village tree after the tree law passes, the village would be filling out a tree removal permit for any tree that comes down that I can bring before the committee? Of course, I'm not going to approve it. I'll bring it and I'll talk about it, and then I'll sign off on it after we talked about it.
if we're talking about village trees, Jerry, do we have to wait for a tree law? I mean, we're already supposed to be protecting village trees. Isn't that something that a protocol that we could implement right now?
So let's take the application that we want to use for the tree law, and we'll use that. And any tree that we have to that we're going to plant, that we plan on taking down, I'll submit. What I'll do is I'll fill out the application and scan it to the tree committee. Everyone who's available can go look at the tree, can provide their opinion, and then we can, discuss it from there at the next meeting. Sure.
I just want to be very clear in this meeting that we are talking about Village of Mamaroneck trees, public trees. We are not talking about private trees,
Right.
just for clarity's sake. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Because Wendy has to leave soon and I would like
I
to.
may not.
Oh.
There's a video, a live session for my son's school starting at 8 o'clock. But I think it's really more important that he watches it. So once I get, if we can find it, I think I'll just stay in the meeting and he'll do what he should be doing.
Great to have you stay in, but meanwhile, we have 10 minutes because I would like to, just in case you can't come back, I'd like to skip ahead to the ordinance, which is under old business.
Mm-hmm.
And the question here, is it definitely scheduled now for September, Nora, to come up for a public hearing?
Yeah, it's on the agenda for the second meeting in September. But
Okay.
if we want it, but I would say that the planning board hasn't reviewed it and HCZM haven't reviewed it, and they're meeting respectively September 9th and 16th.
Yes.
And
So-
what is the date of the hearing? September what?
28th.
28th.
Okay, here's why I wanted to come back to this. Gail and I independently,
And Wendy.
and Wendy, okay,
Yeah.
are concerned about bringing it up for public discussion this close to the storm we had 2 weeks ago. Right now, everybody that I talk to is blaming the trees as opposed to blaming Con Ed or
Yeah.
climate change. And I am concerned that if it comes up, it will get a huge amount of opposition, that it would, more than. And I am interested in, I think Gail is, and I guess Wendy is, in asking if it could be pushed back to I hate to say this, later in the schedule, reading in the year.
A later date.
Honestly, I don't think that would be a problem for a few reasons. One, we haven't really had significant public hearings yet. The first public hearing we were really going to have was last week, and because Village Hall was without power, we abbreviated the meeting. So we are very behind
Okay.
in everything.
We
It's just-
want to be sensitive. The entire village suffered through a trauma with this storm. We want to be sensitive to everyone's concerns. We want to discuss within ourselves, do we need to, we want to take another look at species that we're planting, where we're planting. We want to be very careful about this and very responsive. So,
That's not the ordinance, though. That's planting.
well, I think it may be all of it. We just want to, well, I'm sorry, Bev.
I mean, I think the ordinance is separate than the fall planting.
Okay.
And what I'm concerned about is bringing it up for the public hearing in September, which will be just 4 weeks after people went through the storm and the blackout and all of the other things that went along with it. So if we can move it, do you think that asking to have it scheduled 1 month later would be better? I don't want to go too far. When will this fade from the raw feelings that are around right now?
It might not. So, I mean, it may not, people may, but I do think that moving it to October is not a bad idea because we've got so much on our agenda. I think we're struggling to finish some stuff. And the black can't help.
Do we vote to postpone it? Would the board vote to postpone it, or
Well,
just cancel the 28th and then
we
just
haven't-
set a new
We
date?
haven't done the public hearing, so we have a meeting on the 14th, which is a little bit too late to cancel the public hearing. I mean, that's maybe we postponed our August 10th work session to next week, and maybe we could have a discussion if you want to ask if we postpone it another couple of weeks. I actually think it might have to happen anyway because I'm not sure the other boards are going to have time to look at it.
Okay.
So it might be, maybe if you make that recommendation, we can add it as a quick item on Monday's meeting.
Yep, we just slip it
Okay.
in. Okay,
This is something I think we should vote on. Shall we make the request as a committee to move it to October?
Yes, I approve that motion. Is that a motion?
Yeah, you make the motion,
Okay, I'm making the motion, or you just made motion?
and I'm not making the motion. I asked for motion.
Okay, I make a motion to for the public hearing for October.
And second?
I second that.
Thank you,
Gormley.
Sean. Thank you, Sean. Okay, votes, anyone opposed, I guess is the real question. So everyone in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Yes.
you.
Just
Um,
for the
so
record,
Nora, will
Can
you,
I ask a related question?
Wait, 1 second, I just want for the record to say who's here because it may not show up, like you can't see on my
Yeah.
screen, but for the transcript. Beverly Sherrod, Gail Kohler are here, Wendy Zoland, Joe,
by
Col-
phone? Yeah.
sorry?
You might specify by phone,
Okay, Joe Colombo and
Sean
and
Gormley.
Sean Gormley are present, and Jerry Barbiero, village manager, and Nora Lucas, trustee. That's
And
just.
Dan, and Dan. And Dan Sarnoff.
And Dan Sarnoff, I'm sorry, I don't see him on my screen here.
He's hiding.
There you are, Dan. Okay. Yeah, and the phone number 1-845, that is, who is that?
That's
1-8
Sean.
Oh, okay.
Not me.
That's
That's
Joe.
Joe.
Oh, that's Joe? Oh, okay, sorry.
Sean.
John is on my speaker.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, very good. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay. So maybe I'll even have that can go forward even if we don't have the recommended species list or some of the other lists, but I am working on that. I've been researching a couple of trees that I hadn't thought about before. Okay, thank you. I think that's the big issue I wanted to make sure we had a quorum on. Should we go back to the correspondence?
Yes.
Okay, daffodils along the post road was recommended, requested by residents. Is that something that the village would be interested in planting? They tend to take care of themselves once they're in there.
Was that in any particular place on the post road? Like where on the post road?
Well, she's the one that initially asked to have trees near the high school.
Oh, okay. Okay. And that rocky,
Yeah, well, it was an area that I didn't want to put trees because it has no curb and it has terrible soil.
right.
I'm actually not all that sure how well daffodils will do. Is that,
let's
that's
look
really,
at the attachment. I
uh,
can't
uh,
scroll
it-
down.
yeah, the attachment is just the email.
It's kind of the split between the high school and the town center.
Okay.
On that side of the post road.
It's a very narrow grassy strip.
Yeah, highly compacted because cars' wheels are often on top of it when the cars are parked there.
You know, to be honest, I don't see how flowers are going to do any better than trees.
Yeah, so I'm working on that. I'm working on that section with the state.
Gail, wait. Jerry?
I'm working on that section with the state to try to get, I'm working with the state to get grant money to repave in front of the town center and
That would be great.
and redo the sidewalks and the curbing. So I've been working with them for a little while now. There's
Okay,
a few other improvements that the DOT and the village are working on together. But that's, if we do anything and in a year or a little bit more than a year, it'll all get dug up. So we shouldn't do anything along that strip because
okay.
Okay.
cars are gonna crush it anyway too. That's,
It would be nice if we could get back to Kelly Sousa and just let her know.
I will. This is a request I got from her before we went
Okay.
down.
That's really great to hear, Jerry, that you're working on that.
yeah, I've been working on that for a little bit now.
That's great. Thank you. Okay, the next one, Gail, is something you got from,
Sam Pacharapan and Jerry, can you speak to that? Because I think you're
Yeah, so
want to check in on that.
Pacharapans, the Pacharapans, their house somehow backs up to Warren Park at the end of Warren Avenue. And there were 3 trees in question that are right along the property line. In fact, I think maybe split the property line at one point. And there was an email exchange where the homeowner and Gail and some tree committee members were talking about those trees, regarding the removal of those trees or pruning back. And in fact, Tony, and I didn't know this, but Tony had inspected the trees there and they were all healthy. This request, I believe, comes out of fear that we just got through a very bad storm and we've seen some giant trees go down, and everyone wants to eliminate whatever risk they can. And I understand that, but you know, healthy trees or unhealthy trees, that storm and any storm will take down whatever it wants to take down. Gail's area, little village, is a perfect example of that. Those trees were not unhealthy that came down on the courts, and right, they were not unhealthy.
They were very healthy pin oaks.
They just came
Sidewalks were a bit lifted and they were being taken care of. I'm wondering, well, it's another subject, but they were both, all the trees were near a corner. And I'm just wondering if the wind somehow picked up speed, whipped around, you know, we need to learn a lot about why certain trees came down, where they were located, what the species was, what the conditions of the trees were.
So, unlike the trees that you saw throughout the village, the street trees that were planted between the curb and the sidewalk, these trees, in fact, are planted in an open area. There's no concrete around it. Their roots have been able to grow as intended. And so they're probably very anchored and very strong. That doesn't mean that they can't come down, but you know, these trees, if they're healthy looking from the crown and the top and the trunk, then we know, because of the location of the planting, of where these trees are planted or where these trees have grown, that they're healthy down below as well.
Yeah.
That may not be the case for all the street trees that we have, you know, of excess, of large size.
And I think it was Sandy, where all, like, you know, a row of 6 trees, an arc of 6 trees just went down in Harbor Island Park.
Yeah, it was 4 maples right along the retaining wall at Harbor Island Park. Like,
It was just,
oriented.
they were healthy. It was just the wind.
Yeah.
I mean, the roots were like taller than I was.
Well, the ground may have been severely waterlogged because we do get a high tide there. And
Yeah.
that was just the perfect storm. The ground was saturated. The winds were strong, and yeah,
It
they
was
were
a root killer.
healthy.
I think what it also was with Sandy was that the winds came from an unusual direction.
Yeah.
So the tree roots, you know, naturally set based on, that was part of the problem with Sandy's. It was the winds were strong and from an atypical direction.
I guess
Trees
the point is
grow, when
you
trees
don't-
grow, and if they're leaning a certain way, they thicken on one side. You know, if they're generally used to a nor'easter and they thicken and get wind support, generally wind help to strengthen a tree. It strengthens the trunk. No wind, they will
Down
grow
below,
very tall,
creates the
lanky,
flare.
and flop over. So wind is a good thing, but you know, these kind of winds, you're right, Wendy. They're
When it comes from the wrong direction, it's
Yeah.
not.
I mean, it just doesn't seem like taking trees down to prevent a power outage is really a reasonable
No.
approach, because how are you gonna get the right trees?
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to postpone the ordinance a bit, because people are, I think, a little hysterical about trees right now.
But that being said, maybe when we do the fall planting, we concentrate more and then in parks and open spaces as opposed to in the neighborhoods for now.
Well, we'll get to that. I identified a number of trees that are currently scheduled to go in front of houses that we could move to the park. Okay, the next 3 correspondence are all from one email I received from Stuart Teekert. First one we just talked about, which is having a protocol or procedure on non-emergency village tree removals. So we don't need to do that again.
Yeah, I'll work on that.
Yeah. The next one has to do with whether the village approves utility pruning and removals. I mean, I just go ballistic with the Con Ed pruning, but do we have any say in what they're going to do? Do they have blanket approval? They claim they.
So I don't know what the procedure has been. Um, I'll go back to my former municipality. They would come in and they would just start pruning until I stopped them. And now, where I used to work, the utility company has to come in, meet with the chairperson of the environmental commission and the administrator, and has to go over every tree that's going to be pruned, why it's going to be pruned, which tree is going to be removed. So I believe it could be just a request of the utility company to come into Village Hall and review the work that they anticipate doing throughout the village. And then that information gets shared. Any issues or problems we would address. As far as stopping them or telling them they can't, I learned that that's not something that typically can happen.
Will they blame?
So
It
So
would
you're
be helpful
suggesting,
to know ahead of time to have that kind of notification from them, because that's never happened here. Once every, I don't know, what was it, Bev? Once every 8 years or something, they've come in and met with us and,
that's the cycle.
yeah.
they're very, proud of the fact that they're allowed to do it. People are mad at Con Ed. I've also heard a lot of, I'm gonna have to look into it more just in my neighborhood, but there is a lot of agitation right now for Con Ed to change its practice. But, okay, so you're saying that we will ask them to give us notice of trees that are going to be,
No. What I'll do is I'll follow the same process that I followed in my former municipality.
okay,
I'll call them in, I'll tell them that they need to review with us everything. And then whenever that cycle comes around again, whether it's 3 years from now or 5 years from now, then they have to sit down with us and we go over it and we're notified and I can provide, the information back to this board and my board.
Okay. That
is
sounds
there any way of
better than what
telling
we've
them
had.
to do some?
I'll talk to them tomorrow.
I'm concerned about the method of pruning. They just take a chainsaw and take the branches off one side. I mean, that,
They can talk to you about that. And they're more than willing to come to a meeting and explain why they do what they do.
They've done
okay,
that.
they
They've
did
done
it
that.
quite a few years ago. I think
They've
it would
done
be
that.
good to get
Okay.
that again.
Okay.
And then his last point was that we need to do a tree inventory, which we know, but which we don't have money in the budget for this year. So we'll try to do it next year. Tree ordinance update we have handled. Maintenance issues. What I did is I attached the email I had with Tony with the list of maintenance issues we had last month. And there were, just so you could see it, and he commented and explained what had happened in many of the cases. There were, however, 4 items left over from that first response, and I will fill you, they're on the agenda. I'll fill you in on what happened. 640, he left him, oh, this is by the intersection of Barry Avenue and the Boston Post Road. It's a small tree. It was hit by a car probably 6 months ago. And I noticed that it was always leaning badly, but I realized that it's very badly cracked all around. It has it should come out. And Tony's response was that he left a message for the property owner to contact him, but I have no idea whether anything else has happened with that. So I would like to know. The tree is still there. I don't know who's responsible for replacing it. We may be, but the tree needs to come out first.
Okay.
The next one is, again, a small tree at the intersection of the Parkway and South Barry Avenue. It's at it's in the median facing 710 the Parkway. It's completely dead. It's from trimmer damage all the way around. His comment was that he had checked and did not see the tree. So I sent him the address, which I didn't have the first time. But again, the tree is still there. These are not trees that are going to cause damage. Obviously, there's been a lot going on with trees. But it's a dead tree. We're a tree city. We don't really want dead trees.
Okay.
And then the third one, which I believe you looked into today, Jerry, is on Waverly Avenue, the three trees that are in the right of way that are dead.
Yeah.
What happened?
I think the species, it's the same species. So there are other trees that were planted exactly at the same time. The maples, they survived, and these did not. And it could have been the way it was planted, could have been something that came from the nursery, but it's unusual for three. I think they're crab apples. I was being hailed down by many residents while I was out there because they know what my face looks like now. So I couldn't really spend a lot of time there. But all three trees, I suspect that where they came from or how they were planted, they didn't stand a chance because the maples that were planted at the same time looked fantastic.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So that's the only clue that I could come up with in the 15-minute visit that I made today.
So what's going to happen to them?
I can get them out. We can take them out and replant them. I think Christy may have spoken to the person responsible for putting them in initially. We thought it was TJ Milo, but I think it was the Murphy brothers. So I don't know if we've spoken to the Murphy brothers yet. So I have to kind of dig in a little bit.
Okay.
But
So this may not happen in time for our fall planting, is that?
I think we should probably plan on putting them in.
Okay.
And it could be one of those, well, I'll talk about the tree planting in a minute, but it could be one of those things where we can just go and plant them without worrying about the resident or the resident turning a tree
Sure.
down.
Yeah,
I have to talk to you about.
I agree with
By
that.
the way, there have been water bags on those trees for
They did it last year too. They were dead last year and they put water bags on it after they looked dead. And now this time they put them on again.
Holding out hope.
I don't think the water bags ever came off. The water bags have been on there since they were planted, which was, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years.
Right.
Oh, really?
So,
A few years.
interestingly enough, they did not have the VOM spray painted on them.
Right, they provided their own water bags when they planted the trees and never removed them. I don't know if they were being filled or not. I always drive by, I don't,
Right.
It's hard to stop over there, and I never did. Just FYI. There's also a tree at 512 Claflin that's dead, the village tree in Orienta. I reported it a while ago, maybe
510 or 12?
512, I believe. I'm getting that from Google Map, but I sent an email about it. It's
that
kind
one.
of on Walton, but it's also Claflin. It's right where Claflin and Walton merge,
Okay.
and it's like on the Harbor Island Park side of the road,
Yeah.
and you'll see it. If you're at that intersection, you can't miss it. It's very dead.
Okay. Well, if we're taking out dead trees, there's one on South Berry Avenue that I haven't sent to anybody. I'll add that one to the list. We get a whole day of taking out trees.
Yeah,
These are little ones. They're probably the ones you can just go up to and pull out.
it's kind of medium, I would say. It's on the young side.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know, 10-inch caliper, something like that.
Oh, that's bigger than the ones that I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
And it's also bigger than the ones on Waverly. They're really small.
Yeah, those are babies.
So I'll send mine in. Okay, then this again is from last month. We wanted to know the status of weather violation.
I'm sorry, Bev, the Palmer Avenue tree, did we?
Palmer Avenue tree. Oh, no, we didn't. Fungus on it. And I attached the photograph you sent of the leaves.
That's rust. The only way to prevent rust is to spray it with a fungicide every 7 to 10 days. It's usually, I'm going to use the word, it's usually not fatal. So it'll make it through. But
What causes
The
it?
that I sent where the resident was upset and trying to treat it.
Yeah,
yeah, it has to be
Okay.
sprayed every week. If
But it's not fatal. Is it going to be there for the life of the tree, or is it just this season for some reason?
Right, so it depends, it's weather dependent. If it's a dry season without a lot of rain or low humidity, you typically won't get that, or you'll get a few. But we've had a lot of humidity. I mean, it's 100% humidity every time I wake up in the morning and go outside. So it's tough. It was a tough situation because of the heat and the humidity.
I'm in favor of not spraying a fungicide if we don't need to.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of spraying a fungicide.
Yeah.
Resident was spraying it because the resident thought that, saw ants on the tree and thought that the ants were harming the tree. And we had a very nice conversation about it. He was very happy to learn about what the problem actually was. He cares very much about the tree.
Sure.
And,
It's all good. Is there a way we can tell him that this rust is not going to damage it? Do you know how to get in touch with him?
I kind of told him that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that would be good because, yeah, I'd rather not spray stuff we don't have to spray.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, what?
Sean,
Yes? Yes.
you agree?
Well, yeah, I don't think, I don't know how spraying trees is, do I agree or do I not agree? I kind of don't agree. I do agree because don't spray them because if the tree is, well, you can see I'm ambivalent, so I'll defer to Jerry on that one.
Yeah, so it's somewhat labor intensive if we have to go spraying trees that potentially could have fungus, because once it has the rust,
Yes.
it's not going to go away. So it's a preventative that you have to do early on, and you have to keep doing early on, throughout the whole summer. And so to spray it 12, 15 times in the summer, I don't have the manpower for that.
Yes.
I'm also concerned. It's right on the street. People rub by it. Children are walking by. I really don't want to be putting chemicals on trees right there.
Yeah.
And also, I let the resident know that that's really not something that they are allowed to do, to be pruning or treating diseases on public trees. He was not aware. He was really just trying to help out. But, there are other considerations like the health of pedestrians. So
Yeah, okay, so you'll let him know though that this is not something that's going to kill the tree. So it's,
yeah, I have.
all right, okay. Thank you. Okay, so there are these violations.
I can check tomorrow, but I didn't know you guys discussed it in July. And I know Dan's he's running the Zoom. I'm just a participant tonight. So
Okay,
he can check at the office tomorrow when he goes into the building department and check on these.
we just like to know the status of them. They were in fact issued and the owners told to let them grow out. A couple of them look as if they'd probably do better being replaced, but.
4.
Okay, now the next one is very interesting. George Latimer came to our last meeting and I didn't know why.
Bev, I'm really sorry. I just want to go back to the 532 West Boston Post Road.
Okay,
I know the developer planted the trees, but they're planted in the right of way and that makes it a public tree, correct?
yeah,
And public trees may not be, topping a public tree is harming the tree. So it's been staying like that for quite a while now. Will the trees be replaced by the people? Is there a violation issue that will cover the expense of a new tree?
No.
What's the procedure? Because those trees are harmed. There are no high wires there, and that's a place where trees should be able to grow to help have shade on the Putnam Road. We're really trying to build up canopy so people can walk, where it's cooler. It gets brutally hot. We've been able to plant in the right of way along Harbor Island Park on the water side, but the other side, there are very few areas at this point where that can accommodate a tree, and those are some of the few areas. And then to just lop them, we lose shade. So what is the, do you,
Well, the violation, I mean, is it's my understanding there's a fine and they're told to let the tree grow out, to stop pruning. Is that what happens?
what happens, Jerry?
So what happens is you issue an order to remedy, which in this case could be something like replace all the trees.
Oh.
And then they would, I suspect, they would object to that and it would end up in court. And then I would be before the judge along with my code enforcement officer or someone from the building department to try to convince the judge that the remedy is to replace all the trees. The judge has the option to just fine them $250, which I think is the fine. I have to look that up, but let's just say it's a couple of $100 and they walk away with a $200, $250 fine, and that's it.
Is that 250 per tree or per?
It's it's not per tree. It's for the one violation.
Planting new trees,
It's for the one violation.
one
So,
violation.
And are they instructed to cease?
yes, they're instructed to cease at the time that we issue an order to remedy, to not touch them again, that they can't, they're village trees.
So is it on the village now to replace the trees?
The village can replace the trees.
I don't think they're dead, though. I think we have to wait till they're
They're
deader.
not dead, they're topped.
I know, but I would say it's premature. They're going to die, but it's premature to just take them out, even though we
It
don't.
could be a long time till they die. They'll end up growing kind of like the trees that come at tops. They're gonna grow lopsided and unbalanced because the leader is gone from each of the trees. They grow like that. Rockland Avenue, it's full of trees that are all lopsided, you know, the sycamores. I just feel like waiting until they die is not a resolution, good resolution.
There's so many other trees that the village has to take out because they are coming down or hazardous. I don't think it's the best use of resources.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. But I do want them to stop doing it.
And we want them to stop doing it. I don't see in the backup material the photos.
It's they're in our
July?
previous meetings. Yeah, I didn't have time in putting this agenda together. It's in
Okay,
July.
no, I'll find them. I'll find them that way then. I'll find them that way and I'll take a look.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, the next one is George Latimer came to our last meeting and I didn't actually know what he wanted. He just sat down. So we had a regular meeting and suddenly he said he really was very polite. He said he had to go, but that the county is offering to plant trees in different municipalities on county property. And we should ask the trustees to give, to write a letter telling him what trees we would like to have and where. Dan did send me the map. I didn't do anything with it, but Nora has it now. And I think you were particularly interested in around the water treatment plant.
Yeah.
So someone should actually walk with that map and pick it. Are you gonna do that?
I'll walk across the street and take a look.
Okay, thank you.
And that's really, according to the maps, I think that was pretty much the only location.
I think Warren Park has some land that might, if it needs trees, is also county property, but the rest of the sites on the maps that I saw did not look like they were big enough or suitable enough for trees.
Warren Park has a pretty good canopy.
Okay, then water treatment plant would be, can only improve.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll let you know.
Then the next question, this is a perennial one, which is the pruning of the larger elms because they've had that limb drop. this is not this, I have subsequently under citizen pruners, I have an elm question. But right now, has anything been done about pruning like growth in the, no? Is we got an assessment from Frank before you even were with the village, Jerry, saying it is hazardous.
We haven't done anything because of our situation
Okay,
since March. And I think, if I recall, and maybe you can recall as well, it was October, November, when we were going to plan to do this. Do you recall when the best time to prune according to
yeah,
Frank?
it's out of the growing season. It's
Yeah,
normal.
yeah. So I
Okay.
can't even,
Okay,
but I can't tell you with confidence that in October, November, I'm not dealing with daily
Yeah.
changes to COVID and staffing and all of that kind of stuff that continues
Yeah.
to, you know.
I thought Frank said that as long as less than 25% is not removed from a tree, you could actually do it any season.
no, elms and oaks are different because you're putting a wound there and they're very susceptible to
Okay,
pathogens.
To the
okay.
infection. Yeah.
So I'm just going to keep this on the agenda forever until we actually do it. It's been on for about 4 years. And then the next is a question. The status, apparently we applied for a New York State grant for the inventory planting maintenance. And did we get that or no?
No, we didn't get that.
Okay, so,
We'll reapply.
okay. Oh, but not right now?
Next round, which is probably in the fall, late fall.
This coming fall?
Yeah,
Okay,
we'll reapply. It was one of those, letters. It was a great submission, blah, blah, blah. But there were a lot of applicants. And so
Yeah.
please resubmit this project.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay, thank you. Then list creations, again, we talked about this last time. We have 3 we have to do.
List. I created the list. I created it a couple months ago, and there's a list of citizen pruners.
Okay, Gail, you've done that. We have the start of a significant tree list. I should just pass that along to somebody. I don't know who. At least put it in next month's. And
Would
what we
somebody
need
on the
is
tree committee like to volunteer to work on that?
on what?
On the significant heritage tree list?
Well, we have the start of one. What I think we really need to know is how people can add trees to it. That's a procedure.
Okay.
Anyone want to work on that? No,
I could take a look at it if you want.
that would be good. Is that Joe?
Yeah, that's Joe.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Joe.
yeah, we can catch up on it later this week or next week if you want.
Yeah, I'm sorry, here's Sean. Start again, Sean. I didn't realize you were talking.
I say, could that be done in conjunction with the tree inventory job?
We don't know when the tree inventory job is going to happen because of budget concerns now. But this is something that we don't need a budget for it. It's something that we could contribute to, and suggestions for heritage or significant trees. And hopefully I see public, like all residents, being able to suggest.
Yeah, but right now there's no mechanism for doing
Right.
it.
So we have to create a mechanism. So
So I think the distinction is the tree inventory would be public trees, and then the significant trees or heritage trees would be other trees as well.
I think it
People
can be
could have
either. I think
Significant heritage trees on their property that, are visible from the street. Would that make the list? If it's on private property, but it's in the front yard, let's say.
I would like to do it. Nora tells me that won't actually protect anything though.
Yeah.
But I think we should include public trees there too. That we should be really carefuler than usual.
All right.
With.
Public trees.
So all trees.
So to
I like
Sean's
that.
question,
I think it should be all trees because it doesn't care if it's a public or a private tree.
to Sean's question though, we can identify significant trees, public significant trees, as we're doing the tree inventory and completing the tree inventory. But if everything goes well, which it never does anymore, we could start that inventory again next summer.
Okay.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
we still want people to know how they can propose trees themselves.
Oh, by the way, Jerry, speaking of inventory makes me think of interns, and Oberlin has virtual interns available, just FYI.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good, really good.
Yeah, contact Josh and
Okay, I will.
career development, and he sets up the internships there. And
Good.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, the next item we actually covered above, it's on here twice, which is that recommended species for street trees. I have notes on what we've planted, what works and what doesn't work. It varies from the list that's currently in the code. Not completely, but there are trees on that list that just really didn't work. And there's some new ones that I think we need more diversity on that list. You know, street trees are tricky. So I'll just keep working on that. I have some ideas. Okay, the fall planting. I attached a draft. I mean, we've already got some changes on it. One of the things is that there are a number of houses, most of them, Wendy, in Orienta,
Yeah.
which are carried over from last fall.
Mm-hmm.
That if we don't want to put trees in front of houses, there are a few others, but if we don't want to put tall trees in front of houses, they could be redesignated for the park. Now, I realized after I sent that list that the people at 606 Orienta Avenue last year had correspondence with Jerry specifically about planting 2 red maples in front of their house. And at the moment, those are, that address is also highlighted, but, should we check with them to see if they still want the trees?
So can I talk about that in general?
Yeah.
Because of the storm and the number of trees that went down and the anxiety related to trees, what I wanted to do was have my office add an additional step, and it's appropriate for the tree committee to talk about it now, but I want to notify the individuals that are on the list if it is in front of a property owner's house.
Okay.
To notify them by mail, and allow them to call me, and so we can have a conversation, which will inevitably change the list, Beverly, that you worked so hard on.
Yeah. No, that's okay.
But I want to add that additional step instead of just the door hanger and the paint that Tony puts in front of their house, because if we don't have that conversation, I think I'm going to end up on planting day having a lot of conversations in the street and holes dug and trees in and trees out, and I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a very, very good idea.
Okay, good.
Excellent.
I'll spearhead it, and I'll have my staff take care of it, and we'll start on that. As soon as you're almost finished with the
Okay.
list, I'll start
Great.
on that.
Here's a question, yeah, because even tonight some change came.
I'm sorry, would we be including tree species in that letter?
I would just identify a small tree or a large tree,
Okay.
not a species.
Yeah.
People don't really understand the species or what it looks like.
Okay.
My question is, okay, so in terms of giving you the list, the next iteration of the list, should I keep those Orienta Avenue addresses on there and you can contact them, or do we definitely want to pull them out, or many of them out at any rate, and move them to Harbor Island Park right now?
So I'd want to defer to the resident who lives in that community to see what.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it depends where the trees are. One side of the street, I think, doesn't have as many wires as the other side.
Yeah.
So I would have to take a look at the list again and see where it still might be okay to put a tall tree and talk to the neighbor, and take off, where I think we probably should hold off for now.
Okay, so I'm going to leave the house numbers the way they were. Except,
Yeah,
okay.
and I'll go through it, and
Okay.
I think in the meantime, no tall trees
Well,
for the
no,
most
they are
part,
tall trees.
where the wires are.
No, oh, not with the wires. No, we don't do that, but
Yeah, no, I know not with the wires, but I think we have to be very careful going forward where we're putting the trees in neighborhoods because of climate change. And I think it's just getting harder to know what tree may survive and may not survive, you know, when the ground gets so wet. And then we have a wind on top of that. And people were so angry, including me, and we were out for so long. I think
I bet.
right now I'm hesitant to, we did a big push and planted a lot of trees during the last planting. And so I think we'd be okay if we remove some of those trees for now and added them to more open spaces. Is my personal, opinion
okay,
for
well,
the
would you
neighborhood
tell me
here.
which ones? Because
Yeah, I'll have to go through the list. So
okay, but Wendy, one thing I don't want to do is give up spaces that have no wires and have plenty of,
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I don't want to put little trees there. I mean,
We'll put tall trees where we can.
okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
okay.
But I think it's going to wind up being far. I don't even know what's remaining on the list. I'd have to find your list.
It's okay. Well, it was actually, it's part of the attachment. I can send it to you again. I'll do that.
Yeah, because I didn't see it in the attachments here,
Okay, it's attachment 7.
but I can look again.
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Gail, do you want 3 to go back into where you are? I had 2 down.
Yeah, well, Jerry, two of the roots, the stumps, are completely removed. One on Palmer Terrace, one on Palmer Court.
Yeah.
The third tree, the one that was leaning, I haven't gone up close to take a look, but when it was roped off, I saw them working. It looked like they were, what do you call it, like grinding it down. They had some machine they were working on it. So I don't know that we could plant over there if it was ground down, because there's still that mass below it.
Right. No, you can't. There's still, root material below it. You can't. But the other 2, because the stumps were removed, you can just plant anywhere nearby.
Right.
You'll still run into some roots, but there won't be a problem.
Sure. Is it possible to put in Cornell mix to encourage roots to go down more?
We'll get it. Yeah, we'll get it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, we'll get it.
Okay, and could we plant maybe adjacent to where the third tree's roots are, in the bit of the stump where they ground it down? Could we plant adjacent to that?
Why don't we just give it a year?
That may be just as problematic. We'd have to look at it. We'd have to do like a pilot hole and see
Okay.
if we could. But do you want us to write it in the specs that we put in, the structured soil?
Structured soil to get the roots going down to prevent the lifting of the sidewalk in the future. Yeah.
Okay, I'll put that in the spec. Dan and I, we spoke about polishing up those specifications earlier this week. So.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Bev, can I just ask you, Bev?
Yeah.
I found the list.
Okay.
Are the ones in yellow the ones that were not put in?
Everything on that, nothing was put in on that list. The ones in yellow were the ones that I identified as being in front of residences that could be relocated if we wanted to.
Gotcha.
And yeah, okay, that's good. Thank you. But in particular, to pay attention to 606 Orienta, because last year they really wanted 2 red maples.
Okay.
Which I only remembered later.
Okay, I'm gonna go make a note.
The final thing under planting is actually because they gave us an invoice with the addresses where they planted. We did end up with a list of final sites, but there were some trees that I think were probably rejected at the time that disappeared someplace, and I don't know where. And we would like to have every season we plant a list of where the trees went. So last year was the first time we ever got anything. It was very helpful.
Okay, so, and I didn't run with the crew, last year, Barry did. So the list of trees are on the invoice, the location is
Yeah.
on the invoice. But you're saying that some locations that were identified didn't get a tree and they were
Yeah.
moved someplace else?
Yeah, that's what I remember when I looked at it.
And that could have occurred with a homeowner objection
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
get out of here and
Yeah.
go plant it someplace else? Okay, so I'll take a look at that, but I would have to rely on Barry's memory because I don't think that he took down notes or,
I don't think we can do anything about last year. I just
All
mean
right,
the next one.
all right, this year.
But it was helpful nevertheless, because it was by going back to that list and comparing it to the one I'd given them that I knew for certain I had said that tall trees went in certain locations and they had put red buds, because they
Yeah.
said red bud and I said oak.
Yeah.
Um,
So I got 2, right, that I'm gonna move?
yeah, 2 you're gonna move. Unfortunately, the third one, people are very attached to it, so we can't do anything about it.
That's all right then. That's a success, not a failure.
Well, yeah, but they'd have been just as attached to a tall tree if we'd,
Right, right.
Well, right now, I'm sure they're very happy to have the red bud.
yeah.
It's a good tree.
It is, it's a nice tree and we haven't planted many of them, so I think we'll do more of them. And the planning board, we haven't, I think maybe this is something we just need to do offline, which is to talk about what we want to give the planning board in terms of guidelines that they need to consider when they're approving plans. I don't think we need to go through it now. New business. Citizen pruners. I attached some photographs because I had questions, Sherry. I didn't know what to do with these. And one of them, this is A and B.
They were at the end. I saw them. They were the photographs at the end of the agenda.
Right.
Yeah, let me see here.
Can you share screen also, Jerry?
I can share my screen. Hold on, let me see here. But Bev would have to get rid of hers.
Oh, it's my screen. I could stop.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, that's the one without collars. That's 9. That's a
Yes.
tree that, I pruned it, but I've learned that you're supposed to do it where the branch collar.
Right,
Tree has no collars. Where am I supposed to cut it?
right. So as best I can without looking at it, it would be here. If you can see my mouse a little bit.
Yeah.
I'd have to show you. I'd have to come out and show you.
So
Were
not
It's not easy. This is tricky.
Were those suckers that came out, like broke through the trunk? They just look so not integrated into the tree.
Right.
Were
You
those suckers that grew?
No, I think that the whole tree looks that way. It's just.
Yeah, I don't think they are. But these are very weak. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at this because this is a little tricky right here.
Yeah, I ended up cutting it fairly flush to the trunk, but I don't know that that was right.
Yeah. See, Gail, this is more typical, right?
Yeah,
Something like this is not
right. It looks almost like it broke through the bark.
right and came through without having it looks like a distinctive collar like this.
Yeah, that one looks like it gradually grew, and then the trunk above that is a little bit smaller because, a lot of material is going into that branch. Looks like a healthier branch, whereas the other ones, the size of the trunk, if you could scroll up, like bring the image up a little bit again,
Yeah. This way.
the other way.
Yep.
Yeah, the trunk doesn't really taper so much after
Right.
they're all pretty much around the same point. So,
Yeah, there was an earlier time to get rid of this, and that time is past.
yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go up. So let me go up to the top. I think you had these in order. Let me go to the.
Ooh.
These were just examples. These are those elms that we're never going to plant again, but they
Yeah.
grow in this wild way. And I was able, in a couple of cases, trees to make cuts, but you can't get in there. I don't know what to do with them. You see how they.
No, so you can't get in. So what you would do is you would cut this with the lopping shears
Yeah,
and then come in with a smaller saw. That's why, one size saw doesn't fit all.
Yeah.
And you'd have to come in with a smaller saw and try to get this out and hope that this wound, because you're creating a wound that's significant, doesn't negatively impact the tree. But this is in rough shape. This tree's in,
this is
How
pretty
high up-
typical of how they grow.
yeah.
How high
Yeah.
up are these branches? Like,
I can reach them. Had I known how to cut them, I would have cut them.
Yeah. So this takes a little art right here to get
Yeah.
cleaned up a little bit.
Should
And
we
it's still
stay away
lovely.
from them? They need to be done more professionally.
Yeah. It just takes a little time, and it's one of those situations where you do the best you can on it.
Yeah.
But it takes a little time to kind of clean this up. And when we've pruned and I've shown you how I approach the pruning, you're making the best pruning decision you can at the time with the situation you have. So where are these trees?
This one's on the Parkway,
Okay,
but
Okay.
this is typical. I've seen them in elms all over.
all over.
Yeah.
And then where's
And
this?
no, this is the same tree. And what's happened here is also fairly typical, which is that a branch is actually merged with another branch.
Yep, that's why when we discussed pruning that day out at the park, and I think I've spoken with not tree committee members but staff members. I've shown them that these branches that cross eventually become a real problem. So the time to get rid of them is when they haven't started rubbing against each other.
Yeah.
But these,
Well, we're
oh,
getting
you know what, it was
better.
Gail, remember we met on
Plummer Avenue by Sarah.
Summer Avenue, yeah.
Yeah,
we
you had Jason and I think Barry was there. My husband
Jason and
was
Barry
there.
were there.
We're all trained on how to prune these. But I don't have that kind of saw, that Japanese saw, and the things to reach up higher. You had the perfect tools for it, and I can't do that. I can't access it, and I don't have the right tools.
Yeah. I think Mr. Gormley might have some new tools, which I can easily provide if you're willing to go out and do them. But you right, Sean? Did we ever get those tools to you? I don't remember.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you did, Jerry. Thank you.
Okay. Good. So if you wanted, if the tree committee, if the citizen pruners wanted me to get them a pole saw or some kind of a special saw, we can arrange that.
I don't think I could physically handle the pole saw, but I could use a better saw that for the lower branches that I go after, because I feel like the one that I was given originally, it tears more than it cuts.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of brutal. It's not a good saw.
Okay, so we'll get you something with some finer teeth, and it might take a little bit more work, but it's not that it won't be sharp. You'll just have to work a little harder.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
Okay, thank you for that.
I'm gonna pop off the screen.
Okay, yeah, that's it for things to look at.
Okay, back to agenda.
Yeah, the agenda. Just a couple of thoughts that I've had on pruning. One of them is, as I go around and look at these trees and I come to, we always complain because people break off branches. And it's very clear that they're doing it because until recently no one was pruning them as they were small, and they're growing into the sidewalks and the streets. And I understand why they're doing it. It reinforces how important it is for us to keep up this pruning of the small trees as they grow.
Mhm.
We need a bigger citizen pruners group. I think
Yeah.
we recruit. It's so much. There was so much rain early in the spring, and everything just sprouted like crazy. And and then with COVID, it just feels now like an overwhelming task to prune everything that needs pruning. Just even the suckers, even the low
Yeah.
sprouting branches.
Well,
It's a lot.
it's important. We need to keep going with.
So I can tell you, staff has been reassigned to do things that they never could have imagined. We spray down playgrounds every single day.
Really?
We clean bathrooms and spray them down twice a day. We
Wow.
have Parks Department and Public Works employees sanitizing offices when our employees are not there. We're
Wow.
doing things that's taking away from
Yeah.
when I first got here and said, wow, we have a lot of employees. Maybe I can teach them how to prune and do this and do that.
They were
And
excited about it
I
too.
know. And COVID just took that away. If I had to reassign them to more sanitation and, you know, disinfecting responsibilities, and they're keeping up with it. It just took away from everything else that we wanted to do.
Well, it just disrupted the world.
Yep.
Yeah.
The other thought I had on food. Now this is probably, I'm jinxing myself, but in last week's storm, I have my trees pruned every year, including, Jerry, you told me I could do the street trees, including that silver maple that used to drop huge limbs onto the street because it's dying and it will have to come out sometime. But meanwhile,
Someday, yeah.
it's a great tree corner. I didn't lose a single branch in any tree, even in that silver maple. And I just, it reinforced, now I shouldn't have said that because I'll probably lose a whole lot in the next storm. But it just made me, there are a lot of trees that are healthy trees, but they get dead branches in them. And then it's obviously not in this budget, but I think as a goal, we should look toward having our trees pruned in some sort of systematic way to get the dead wood out of them. I think it'll make them safer. It'll lighten the load. And it'll make them less susceptible to disease. So if we're ever rich again, we should go back,
Yeah.
as a goal.
Speaking of which, this is probably not a priority. I don't know if it is, or I won't speak to that, but there are some big dead branches on pin oaks at Palmer Court. I haven't looked as carefully at the trees on Palmer Terrace, but there are some big branches that need to be removed that are completely dead.
Okay. If you send an email, we'll start that process of
Okay,
getting them done.
do that right now.
Okay, next on the agenda, I think this is the third time this has come up on the agenda, so you can see how upset we are. Future protocol for hazardous tree assessment. I think we've covered that.
We figured that out.
Yeah. Fall tree walk, have we done anything about a date for that?
We did have dates and they were in the minutes at some point. However, was that pre or post COVID or during COVID? I don't remember.
I think it was during COVID and
So it should be in the minutes.
but it was for a spring walk. I don't think we scheduled a fall one.
No, it was for a spring walk, really?
Which was while we were all shut down.
It was going to be, they were trying to schedule one for October.
Yeah, no, I thought the dates were for a fall walk.
Okay, I don't know, then we should go back and look. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And also Gail wanted to bring up the possibility of the tree committee having a Facebook page. I hate Facebook. I have nothing to do with it, but if anyone else wants to do it.
So let me,
Well, I noticed the Committee for the Environment has a Facebook page and they're listing different events, and we're trying very hard to, the people that have attended our village tree walks have loved the programs. And they said, I wouldn't have known if I didn't see this piece of paper or something like that. And it shouldn't be so much up to chance. I feel like we need to get the word out more. It's a pleasant, enjoyable time to spend with your neighbors. People learn about the value of trees and they get to see their neighborhood in a whole different way through a whole new lens. So I just like to get the word out there more.
So some of you know we hired a public information officer last year. His name is Robert. We can help because we were doing a daily email newsletter blast with all the information during the worst days of COVID. We've gone to a weekly now. The weekly can include anything we want to include. Regarding Facebook pages, we wanted to have one, and we haven't worked on this because we were distracted for 4 months doing the daily reports, that we wanted to have one platform. And in fact, we're looking into the best way to manage all the platforms, not necessarily have different committees with different Facebook pages or different Twitters or accounts or anything like that, but assemble it into one so that it would be a one-stop for the residents and get all the information. He is the assembler of the weekly newsletter, so we can get stuff out there. He'll
Okay.
make up, or we will make up a flyer. We'll post it. We'll do a little blurb. It's typically a short paragraph, and we can do it week after week after week. I've directed him to work with the department heads and try to get and the committees as well. And in fact, he attends the committee for the environment and works with them. That we try to get stuff out 60 days in advance. And that came from a couple of trustees that recommended that we push this stuff out a couple of months ahead of time. So if it's, September in 2 weeks and we're doing a tree walk in October, maybe the first week in September, we start advertising a tree walk in October.
Yeah, that's
We're
great.
working on that. If you send me information, I'll figure out how Robert can push it out. You just have to send me what your thoughts and desires are, and we can figure that out.
Okay, did the photo of, I forget the gentleman's name, but the gentleman who was watering the trees, I sent you a photo.
Yeah.
Did that,
Paul. Yeah, that was Paul. We got his photo out there.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, and we doubled up. By the way, we doubled up on those bags, and it's working well.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Paul
So
was doing
anything you want to put out, just let us know, and we'll put it out. Anything you're looking for. If you want to have a call for new citizens or more citizen pruners, you can push that out. If you have the tree walk date, we can push that out. Just send it to us, and for me, I just pass it on to him, and he takes care of it.
Okay.
All right.
Would somebody on the committee like to write a little blurb about becoming a citizen pruner, something about what the citizen pruners do, and that we're looking for more to join and be trained?
I can do that.
Yeah. Thank you, Bev.
And Beverly, it doesn't have to be
You
final
enough for
copy.
the tree committee already.
It doesn't have to be final copy. If you just give some bullet points, Rob will
Okay.
put it together.
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah, just some facts, and then Robert will dress it up.
You
Thank you.
want pictures, like somebody, out there pruning or?
Anything you have, we'll use. Anything you have.
Okay, I'll try to get a picture to you, Bev, this weekend.
Okay.
I've got
Going out pruning?
I've got a certain tree in mind I have to meet with.
Okay, great.
I'll get a picture to you too of
That would be great. That would be
Make
great.
sure to wear your vest, Sean.
Yeah.
You're entirely right. Thank you for reminding me.
Very welcome.
Sean's a big guy. Sean's got a lumberjack build. Perfect.
Yeah.
I found the minutes, and it says that it's just the current minutes from last month. October 17th with the rain date of October 18th, or the next weekend, October 24th, 25th. Those were the tentative dates.
Oh, we didn't pick which
And I
one?
think I think you wanted to do it in Warren Park. Is that right?
No, we did it last time.
In Warren Park. Okay.
I don't know. Did we pick an area? Were we talking about Orienta maybe?
It's not in the minutes. Maybe it was Orienta.
I think it was Orienta.
We haven't done a walk in Orienta in a long time, and they're just lovely. There's lovely diversity of tree species.
And they're mature. They're mature. They're
Yeah,
beautiful.
and young ones. It's kind of nice to see how they develop. So
But it's nice to have some mature ones too. There are some streets that only have year-old trees.
So where would you walk? Along the bike path?
I think so. Or we would meet there. We might then head down. I don't know if it's still there, but there was an Osage orange on Bleecker, which is a special thing to get to see, especially, and if it has the fruits falling, that's
even
how
better.
I don't even know where the tree is. I just find these giant things that look like green brains.
Yeah, I'll try to see where it is, and I'll send it out to you.
Okay.
We have over there. Clapham
Wait,
is loaded with beautiful, mature, tall trees and gorgeous. Clapham.
What's
Class,
that, Sean?
That's where Gail walks every day.
class,
Clapham.
Oh, yeah.
CLAFIN.
Same neighborhood.
Yeah, Claflin meets up with Bleecker. Yeah. There used to be an arboretum at Westchester Day School. Long ago, I think it was one of the science teachers tagged trees, and yeah, they still have some very nice trees.
Well, it sounded like we
Get
hadn't,
from Bleecker.
it sounded as if we hadn't decided between the 17th, 18th, or the following weekend. We should decide which weekend, one day the walk and the other day the rain date.
I think the earlier one, I think it was Sundays. I think that was the issue. The person, Jocelyn Kleinman from the Sheldrake Environmental Center, said she could do a Sunday.
Okay,
Dates again?
so what date is it going to be?
I'm sorry, what dates did you have there, Bev?
I got them from Nora. Nora, what do you have?
I think it'd be the
And
18th
then
or
reservation
20th, it's a Sunday.
on open table at the terrace, I guess, for
Yeah.
lunch one day.
October
This
18th.
year. Why don't we do that?
I'm sorry, there are a lot of voices and I'm not sure what are the two dates?
If it's a Sunday, it's the 18th and the 25th.
Okay, that looks good. That looks very good. I don't see any holidays on there. That's perfect. It's a beautiful time of year to go on a tree walk as long as the
Yeah.
weather cooperates.
And what time will we do this?
Do we make note of time on there, Nora?
No,
Well,
Nope.
I'm thinking early afternoon, maybe.
That works for me.
What do you think? I want to make sure people, are back from church, they've
Yeah.
had lunch, and
Yeah.
what's
1
good-
o'clock is probably good.
what would be your favorite time, Bev?
1 o'clock.
You got it. Okay, 1
John,
o'clock.
does it work for you?
Yes,
Walk Oriental.
1 p.m. Yeah.
Yes.
Is that what you said?
Yes, that's what we said.
And then on the 25th, that would be the rain date.
Yeah. And so if we're talking about maybe doing Claflin, and I don't have my geography down very well. Where are we going to meet?
Probably Jocelyn will do a pre-walk with or without me, I'm not sure. And she will determine what she feels has the most educational value, the most interest for people.
Okay, well, that sounds wonderful. Then she'll tell you where the meeting place would be and you'll send the information to Robert?
Yes.
Okay,
So that needs to come out ASAP, Jerry, is that right?
Yeah, so just send me the details and we'll start getting it out there.
Okay.
Great.
It won't make it in tomorrow's, of course, but it'll make it into, next week.
Okay, great, thank you.
all right. And our next meeting, are we the 4th Thursdays or the 3rd? I couldn't remember. It's been such a long time.
the next meeting is September 24th.
Is that the 3rd?
24. Wait,
Is that the 3rd Thursday or the 4th?
The 4th,
4,
Okay,
yeah. In the evening?
7:30.
7:30.
Okay.
I mean, you could, some committees are meeting at 7 instead, since everybody's doing it from home. So if you wanted to do that, that's probably an option.
I'm sort of. used to
Better for me.
7:30. What
What?
time?
7:30 is better for me.
Okay.
I don't know about
Yeah,
everybody else.
I like it better.
We don't have to travel, so,
No travel, right?
okay.
Wouldn't we love to be going to Village Hall to meet as a group? Wouldn't that be nice?
It would be
I have to say,
exciting.
Part of this is nice. More of the time is just spent meeting and discussing things and not looking for parking. There are parts of it that I like, but I very much miss getting together with all of you in person and, baking chocolate cookies and stuff like that.
We missed your chocolate cookies too.
Those cookies.
Yeah.
They're outrageous.
Hey,
I
Colin,
might have to deliver them.
Wait,
can I have two last points?
Sean
please?
has
Two last
something.
points.
Sean has something.
Jerry?
Yeah.
Can you please ask Barry and please kind of keep him, I went to the water bag today at Delancey. There's a Delancey tree between Prospect and Palmer. The water bag is empty.
Okay.
And I've found a lot of water bags empty as I walk. I mean, they got to stay a little more consequent with that.
So
That's
it is, so tell me where it is, because I want to make sure that Paul is hitting it, because he's out there daily unless we're getting, a heavy rain event. So it's the Lansing.
Okay, it's on Prospect, in front of the Blue House, on the oh golly, it's the only one on the street between Prospect and between Palmer and Prospect on Delancey that has a water bag. It's a
Okay.
I think it was a London Plane. I think but
Okay.
it's right in front of a Blue House there, and it's staked. It's a staked tree, so they'll know which it is. So that's number one. And number two, Jerry, don't you think though that the plan or the process that lends itself to perhaps to certain things we wouldn't want? If we have Tony Accavelli asking for a truck to come out here and stay all day because that's the way that they work, I don't think that that's good bang for your buck. First of all, because that lends itself to cutting down a lot of trees. That promotes it, you know. So if we have a one-off tree, like there's a dead tree right on the Farn Street that I asked to get cut down. Now that was about 2 months ago, so I sent an email out. Now that's a one-off tree. That's going to take 4 hours, 5 hours. So I don't understand how that we have to just fill the tree company's void. There must be tree companies out there that we can use that comes and does single trees.
No,
But
I wasn't.
it's going to lend itself to cut a lot of trees down.
No, but Sean, I wasn't saying that it's my responsibility to fill the tree company's void. I was just hypothesizing that why those trees came down. So I did contracting. I know that I have to maximize it. I know when the tree companies come in, they work for a couple of days and then they leave. They're not in the village every day cutting down 1 or 2 trees and then heading out to another job. So it was just a hypothesis that I was, because I haven't spoken to Tony about it. All I did was speak to Tony about providing me the pictures and what did those trees look like before it came down. I never had a subsequent conversation about anything else like that. So we have to have that conversation.
Yeah. Tony, please, then for the next meeting, either he's got to send an email out, a very detailed email, or be on the next call that we have a meeting to, or you ask him and get an exact reason why, and it has to be a very good one. It has to be validated, not just because it didn't look great.
Okay.
So we got to hear from them. That's the point. Okay. So.
Okay.
Okay, do we have anything else? No.
Yes,
Yeah.
sorry. I was just sending that email to Jocelyn. I met this past month, I met with Barry at Columbus Park. I was so glad, so appreciative. He contacted me and asked me if I would come over and help him figure out how to expand, where to put the sort of outline on an expanded playground area at Columbus Park in order to preserve a tree that's growing adjacent to the park. It was so nice. And we were brainstorming together and, talking. And then we figured it out how to do it. Basically, we're going to do sort of like half of a well, like a half circle kind of around it, but rounded out so that there won't be any sharp corners for the children or anybody else. And it was just lovely. I thought it was like the greatest kind of collaboration, and
Good.
very, very appreciative to Barry for that.
Very good. That's great.
Yeah. Thank you, Barry, out there.
Barry's a 6 o'clock guy. Might be sleeping right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? No. Okay, thank you. We got a lot done.
We did. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Bev.
Thanks.
Getting this.
Yeah, it was nice to see everybody.
Bye-bye.
It is,
Yeah.
it is. I mean, I'm glad we've got Zoom since we can't actually meet.
Yeah, it is.
Bye-bye.
All right, Joe, we miss seeing you, but good to hear you.
Yeah, next time.
John, we miss seeing
Oh,
you.
I haven't seen you on morning walks.
Oh, there's one.
I thought I saw you this morning from a distance.
Oh, okay. I didn't see you. Are you still working from home, or are you heading into the city now, or?
Nope. I'll be here for the foreseeable future till at least middle of next year.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. All right.
Yep. So
All right.
Take care, everybody.
Yeah. You too. Thanks everyone for for being here tonight and working so hard.
Is Beverly still there?
I think Beverly signed off. I don't see
Oh.
her here.
Do you know when she wants the list by?
I think as soon as possible, because Jerry's just waiting for it. So,
So here's,
Yeah,
I'm going to have an issue because we're leaving Tuesday for Wisconsin.
uh-huh.
And when I come back, I have to go, it's self-quarantine for 2 weeks.
Ah.
Oh, right.
Can you
Bring
shoot her an email, let her know? And
Yeah.
and make sure you're CCing Jerry on that?
Yeah, okay.
Or just include Jerry. Yeah, email them both. Is
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to have time to do it before
Hello.
we leave.
that
Oh.
Ethan?
They have no way to get here from Matt, so I'm just gonna pick them up.
Okay.
Hi,
Bye.
Ethan.
Bye.
Bye, Ethan.
Ay,
Okay.
ay, ay.
Yeah, I don't know what to say.
I mean, like technically I could probably take a walk by myself if I go out early in the morning.
Mhm.
I just don't know if I'm comfortable doing that. I'll see, I'll get a COVID test when I come back. And then if I'm comfortable walking early, I can just go down Orienta Avenue, maybe. I don't know.
But you definitely don't have time before you go.
I don't have time before I go. No,
Okay.
got too much going on.
It is what it is, you know.
Yeah.
What do you do? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
I'll try to get to some. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Wendy.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Yeah. Good night, everyone.
All
Thank-
right.
Good night. See you in September.
Yeah. See you in September.
Yeah. Be well.
You too. It's not serious.